Hey, what's up? This is Little Evil. This is a guide for Resto Druid to help you figure out if you like the class or not, what are your gear options, how to get it, what to spec, and how to play the class. So let's begin with the specs that are available to you. In all the specs, whenever you see improved Nature's Grasp, you can change those points into improved Rat. This is just pure preference. First on the list we have pure Resto spec. It gives you everything you might need as a Druid healer. Maximum buffs with improved Mark of the Wild, lower threat for fights with multiple adds, lower pushback, improved rejuvenation and regrowth, and also it gives you 2 instant heals, well, 1 instant heal and 1 almost instant heal with Swiftman. Second spec on the list is a Healing Touch spammer. Nature's Grace allows you to cut extra half a second from your cast time after getting a critical spell. That gives you a better chance of sniping heals from Pali's Priests and Shamans. This spec also provides extra threat generation for your tanks with improved Thorns. It's slightly less flexible than the first spec, but it should give you better healing output and raids. Moonglow will also help with mana efficiency. All the points that you have in balance tree in this spec are purely optional. You can move them around however you please. The only ones that are important are improved Thorns, Nature's Grace, and Moonglow. The third one on the list is the very well known Heart of the Wild spec. I will give you 2 different options for it. One of them will be pure PvP spec, and the other one is a PvE spec. In both of the specs I prefer Feral Instinct because threat generation at certain point becomes way more valuable than your mitigation. Your healers will be able to out-heal any type of damage you take, but holding aggro against your DPS can be a little bit more of a challenge. Thick Hide is also a viable option. It allows you to survive for a little bit longer when carrying a flag, and it will give you additional mitigation in dungeons. So moving points around between Feral Instinct and Thick Hide is totally up to the player. For PvP, 4 is a must. Instant charge every 15 seconds is something that is invaluable. For PvE, improved Mark of the Wild is a better choice. And if you still need to use Feral Charge in PvE spec, you can use your improved Enrage. This is an all-around solid spec, good for PvE and PvP, good for tanking and healing. The last spec is definitely my favorite, is the Resto PvP spec. Provides all the benefit of the regular Resto spec, but you have instant Feral Charge as well, which is super OP in open world encounters. This spec becomes extremely fun to play once you get a little bit of gear, and with a little bit of consumables such as free action potions, you become basically impossible to lock down and kill. The points from improved Mark of the Wild can be put into improved Nature's Focus. This is simply my preference. Before we cover BIS, I would like to touch on the gear up and how to level up as a Druid. Your best choice for a leveling spec is definitely Feral. Start with Ferocity and just follow it down all the way to Leader of the Pack. Once you grab that, switch to Balance 3 and grab Omen of Clarity, and then finally Fervor from Restoration. When leveling, remember that you are fully capable of healing or tanking any of the dungeons. Just keep 2 sets of gear, 1 on you and 1 in your bank. For your Feral spec, you obviously will focus on Stamina, Strength, Agility, and all pieces should be leather, and for your healing spec you will focus on Intellect and Spirit. You can use both leather or cloth. Many of the pieces from BIS section will be available to you before you reach 60. Quite a few of them are from BRD, which you can start running at around level 51, 52, and some of them even sooner than that, like the chest from Sunken Temple. Now let's get to our prebis gear and how to get it. Let's start with the helmets. Your best helmet comes from second boss of UBRS, from the Mount of Rand Blackhand. The other 4 options are BOE. The easiest one to get would be Dreamweave Circlet. It's crafted by tailors and materials are super cheap. Your next option is Holy Shroud, Papal Fez, and Cassandra's Grace. Your biggest upgrade after that will be a tier 2 helmet from Onyxia. You will only replace it from Ward Dragons or AQ40 and Nax. Do not bother with anything from tier 1, that set is only good for farming or PvP. For the necklaces early on, you only have two options. Tooth of Mawar, which is the last boss of UBRS, but also Gemstone Heart, which drops from last boss of Mauradon and is almost just as good. Phase 1 gear can be a little problematic, and certain spots like the necklaces are very underwhelming. But no worries, Phase 2 will give us animated chain necklace from Stratholme, and you will replace that with Jindo's Evil Eye from Zul'Gurub. For the shoulders, your best in slot are living shoulders. Very easy to craft, materials are super cheap, and they have great stats. For the chest, you can start with Forest Embrace, which is a quest reward from a sunken temple chain that starts in major cities and leads you to Angora Crater. However, there is nothing better than Robes of the Exalted. They drop from Stratholme Undead from Baron Rivendare, and they will be your best in slot until AQ40. Some people might also use Stormraid Chest if they are playing every growth spec, but that is a drop from Nefarian, last boss of BWL. For your weapon, the Hammer of Grace, which drops from the chest in BRD from 7 Dwarfs event, is your best in slot. The other option would be Hand of Righteousness from Cathedral in Scarlet Monastery. You will be using Hammer of Grace for a while until you get Locomir from BWL or a weapon from ZG, Jindo's Hexer. After that you can grab Dagger from opening of the AQ40 gates or AQ40 and Nax weapons. So we don't really have much options when it comes to one-handed healing weapons. Some might argue that you can use a ZG staff as a healing weapon, but I don't really like it. You certainly can use two-handed staff from AQ40. For your offhand, you definitely want to grab Tassarian Royal Scepter from BRD when you kill the princess, and your only other option would be Spirit of Aquamentus, which comes from very long chain that starts in Angora. Once TM opens, you can grab offhand from Dire Maul North, and later on, as soon as AV Battleground is opened, I would encourage every single healer to get to Exalted ASAP. Exalted offhand from that Battleground is on par with an AQ40 offhand and will serve you all the way up to max. Hands of the Exalted Herald are your best in slot hands. They drop from Princess and BRD. Your only other option would be Dreamweave gloves, which are crafted by tailors. However, try to get Hands of the Exalted, because they will serve you all the way until tier 2. Once Dire Maul is out, you can grab Gloves of Restoration. For your wrist, Bleak Howler arm guards that drop from Gizmo and LBRS are your best in slot. I am a big fan of Heart of the Wild spec early on, and for that spec, a high intellect wrists are very good. So getting Magister bindings or any of the cloth wrists that are BOE for very cheap on Auction House is definitely a good option. For belt, Sash of Mercy is a best in slot, which is an epic level 57 BOE. That belt will be extremely expensive early on. A good alternative, especially if you are running Heart of the Wild, would be Simple Magister belt, which is a blue BOE that you can buy for very cheap in Auction House. Once DM opens, you will be able to grab Whiparn Cord, but your third best in slot will be a Corehound belt, which is a crafted BOE leather belt. That thing will serve you all the way to Nax. For pants, we have a wide variety of item choices. Your best in slot would be either Senior Designer Pantaloons from BRD or Ghoul Skin Leggings from Skullomans. Your other options will be Luminary Kilt from BRD, from Golem Lord, Living Leggings, which are crafted by Leather Workers. Leggings of Frenzied Magic from BRD, from Garrosh the Dervish, which is one of the bosses in the arena event. You could also grab Skyshroud Leggings from LBRS. However, those are usually reserved for caster DPS. But sometimes you might be in a group where your casters already have those, and they can be very good for a healer. You can also grab Volshear Leggings from Gizro in LBRS, which you already would be farming for your wrist. Once Dire Maul opens, you will be able to grab Padres Trousers, and your other upgrades will be from Salamander's Pants from Molten Core or Empowered Leggings from BWL. For the boots, best in slot are Vardant foot pads. They drop from a rare spawn in Stratholm, Stone Spine. Your other options would be Fate Healer boots from UBRS, Last Boss, Only Cast boots from BRD, from Golem Lord, however I would probably pass those two casters. Sooth Encrusted footwear from BRD, from Panzer the Invincible, or Fire Moss boots from BRD that you can get from Keg Event in Grim Guzzler. Your true best in slot will come later on from cloth boots that drop from Trash in BWL. Now for the rings. Your best in slot is definitely Forging Seal. It's a quest reward from In Dreams, which is a very long quest chain that requires completing all the quests for Thurian Forging. Next one is Rosevine Circle, which drops from Urg Doomhole. You have to summon that boss in LBRS doing a small event, so whenever you enter LBRS, make sure that you grab the spear that is on the wall after the second bridge, and also remember to loot the head of first boss. The event itself can be fairly difficult on low level of gear. Having a good mage CC one of the summoned mages is going to make the fight much easier. For Alliance, there is a very easy alternative called Songstone of Ironforge, which comes from BRD quest chain, The Prince's Surprise. For Horde, however, I would recommend picking Thrall's Resolve as your reward, because that is one of the unique rings that has armor on it, and that will help you a lot once Dire Maul comes out for farming. And instead of Eye of Orgrimmar, I would recommend grabbing Bloodclad Band, which drops from BRD Arena from Garrosh the Dervish, which is one of the random bosses that can spawn in that event. For trinkets, we will have only 3 options. Second Wind from BRD, from Golem Lord Argelmach, Burst of Knowledge, also from BRD, from Ambassador Flamelash, and Briarwood Reed from a rare spawn called Jed Runewatcher in UBRS. Once Dire Maul comes out, make sure to look for a book called The Emerald Dream, because you can turn it into a trinket that will serve you for a long time. I would also recommend that every single Druid gets Mark of Tyranny. It's a reward from a quest that you get after defeating Last Boss in Lower Blackrock Spire, and Last Boss of Upper Blackrock Spire. Your cape is also a problematic spot, similar to Necklace. Best in slot is an Archivist cape, but that cape can have multiple different prefixes. Best of them would be of Healing, but anything with plus Intellect or plus Intellect and Spirit will do just fine. Horde has an option of Raincaster Drake, which is a reward from a quest. Alliance can get Searise Drake, which is just a simple stat stick. But as soon as Dire Maul opens, every single healer will be replacing their capes with Hide of the Wild, which is a craftable item that you will be using all the way up to max. Now let's talk about the playstyle of Resto Druid. There are 3 different schools of healing. First one, and the most common, is a Healing Touch spam. Second one is Healing Touch combined with Regrowth spam, which is probably the highest healing you can do as a Druid. And third one is Healing Touch combined with Rejuvenation and Swift Mend. Druids are also responsible for poison removal and decursing. If a fight requires you to focus on removing poison or decursing, it's a good idea to have an MP5 set. Every Feral Druid should also get one. Progression on Chromagus will be made so much easier if you have extra decursor. For Healing Touch, you will focus on 3 ranks. Rank 2 for normal spot healing on low damage, Rank 4 for slightly higher damage, and rank 10 for using with Nature's Swiftness, or rank 11 in AQ40. Healing with Regrowth is very mana inefficient, but it can give you the highest HPS that we can achieve as Druids. It's not the best playstyle for progression, but if all that you care about is tapping meters, then this is the way to do it. You will want to stack up on consumables. Mana potions, dark runes, or demonic runes are a must. You will be using those on cooldown. You will want to learn the time that takes your guild to kill the boss. Then check how many regrowths you can cast during that time using all your consumables and innervate, and this should give you a rough estimate of what rank regrowth you can use. You can push it even further asking for additional innervates or being in a mana tide totem group if you're horde. For rejuvenation healing, you will use combination of healing touch and rejuvenation, use max rank of rejuvenation, and swiftman the target if they take additional damage, and use healing touch rank 2 and 4 on other raid members. Once you have 2 or 4 pieces of tier 3, you can spam rank 1 rejuvenation on selected targets to give them extra mana, energy, or rage. Druids are also the only healer without hard res, but we are also the only healer that can res other people in combat. The spell itself requires a reagent, so make sure that you always carry a couple of them in your inventory. One last thing I would like to touch on is farming gold as a druid. Before phase 2, picking herbs or mining ore is a decent moneymaker, but druids can also solo marathon for gold. In phase 2, you will switch your farming to Dire Maul North and Dire Maul East. You will need a tanking set for both of them. I will include gear setups in the description, together with bunch of other links you might find useful. On the subject of tier 1 and tier 2 usage, I would recommend that you get tier 1 only for farming Dire Maul. And from tier 2, try to get 3 pieces. Helmet, wrist and gloves are the best, but you can figure out your own combinations that you like. This concludes the Druid guide. Let me know in the comments if you learned something and if you liked it or not. I might make a warrior guide before the classic release, and also molten core guide for a low level of gear. Anyway, drop me a like or dislike, subscribe if you want to see more guides, and come see me in Angora on Ferolina. Later.